if you can, in a concise way, what Hungary did, what Orbán did.
Yes, well, what Viktor Orbán did is exactly what we now see Donald Trump doing, which is that he came into power with thousands of pages of laws that had been written by private actors outside the system before he assumed power. And so when he came into office, he began shoveling these laws through his compliant parliament. And the members of parliament didn't really know what they were enacting. And so by the time I think everybody figured it out, 3 years into Orbán's regime, he had captured virtually all of the independent institutions. He had also rewritten the election law, and there was no way any opposition force had the toehold, the resources, or the organization to actually ever oust him from power. So what we're seeing now in the US is exactly this kind of thing. And I must say, what's interesting is that people still think that you lose democracies with tanks in the streets. And what I keep saying is, no, you lose your democracy when you have lawyers trying to undermine it by law.
So that's really interesting. I'm telling you that I hate to go back to the Nazi era. I don't want to bring up Hitler. It turns a whole number of people off. But I cannot help but be struck by what Joseph Goebbels said after they seized power, as they were seizing power from a democracy. He said, the big joke on democracy is that it gives its mortal enemies the means to its own destruction. And Kim, you saw that firsthand in Hungary.
Absolutely, exactly. Hungary, it was Poland, it was Turkey, it was even Russia, which we forget in the early days was all consolidation of power by law. So this is how it happens all over the world. In Venezuela and in Ecuador, the leaders there rewrote the constitutions in their first year. So when the leader gets elected and changes the law, many people stand around and say, well, gee, I kind of disagree with this leader, but that's how democracies work. And what they need to see is, it's not just any law that these new autocrats are passing. It's laws that actually remove restraints on the executive. And that's the danger signal we're seeing now in the United States. Trump is claiming the power to stop all federal funding. Does he have that power by law? Well, no. But somebody's going to have to tell him no. And the question is whether Congress rises to the challenge, whether the courts rise to the challenge. And frankly, the thing I'm alarmed about in the United States is that unlike in Trump's first term, we're not seeing people go to the streets. We're not seeing a really mobilized constituency in the general public that's going to let the institutions know that the public sees what's happening. And that's because we don't have focused leadership right now. Same thing happened in Hungary. Everybody objected. People did not go to the streets, and within 3 years, their democracy was over.
And you said it was one of the quickest collapses of democracy in recorded history. Norm Eisen, Kim Lane Shepley, thank you both very much for being with us.